Understandably so, everyone is scared right now. Everyone is worried that AI is coming to take their jobs, and most of all, content writers. So if you've ever been in a position where you've been writing content for a client, I'm quite sure a lot of them have walked away and said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to use ChatGPT instead of relying on you. So if you find yourself in a very difficult position where you're losing contracts, where you're losing your freelance work, you're losing your full-time jobs, and you're worried what's going to happen, in this video, I'm going to show you how to overcome the obstacles that AI is putting in front of you, and in fact, how to use AI with your skill set to get more contracts, to get more money, and make clients happy with the work that you do for them. Hey, this is Napier, and I feel that AI is there to help you, not take away your jobs. And in this video, using ChatGPT and Content Gorilla AI, I'm going to show you how you can make sure that you never lose another client again. Now, I want to go back a little bit and talk about what happened in 2008 because it is very, very relevant to this video. So back in 2008, a lot of banks started to basically implode because people couldn't pay back their loans. People had 2, 4, 5 different mortgages and they couldn't pay those back anymore. So because of that, some of the bigger banks in the US, a lot of banks started to just collapse. In fact, even Iceland as a country went bankrupt. But the point I'm trying to make here is that that was a big wave of change. It was a really big recession where a lot of people lost jobs. I myself actually had just graduated in 2008, so I'd walked into a job as a software developer for, guess what? A bank. And it wasn't the best of time to work for a bank. Luckily, I managed to ride the wave for a couple of years, but after that, the banks ran out of money and they said, we can't keep software developers on anymore, so they let me go. And that was a very, very hard lesson to learn. That's when I realized that if we don't adapt with the changes that are happening around us, the changes will swallow us whole. So back then, I made a big mistake of not adapting to what was happening around me, and my job got swallowed and I was suddenly left unemployed. That's when I decided that from here on out, anytime things start to change around me, I'm going to adapt. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, but at the same time, I'm going to adapt and make sure I'm ready for what's to come next. And AI is no different. This is the start of a new era. You now find yourself in a position as a content writer where the article that would take you 4 to 8 hours to research and write, AI can now write literally in 10 minutes. But here's what I need to tell you. AI still makes a lot of mistakes. It's not there yet where it can actually write a cohesive, factually correct article for you or your clients. So even when it writes the base article, a lot of work still needs to be done. So in this video, I'm going to explain all the things you can offer as an added value to a client to make sure that they don't just rely on ChatGPT, because if they do, if all their focus is on clicking a button, getting that content and publishing it, I can tell you long term they're going to lose because Google doesn't like that. What Google is looking for are things that you can offer to your client. So let's go through that list and let's talk about what it is that you can give to your clients that's going to help them rank that content, even if they're using ChatGPT as base. So late last year, Google made a new update to how they view and rank content online. Typically, people would think that, hey, we just throw a bunch of content on our blog and it's going to start ranking, but it's not that simple. For you to rank your content on Google, Google's looking for not 3 now, but 4 factors. And those factors are EEAT, as you see on the screen. So it used to be EAT, which used to be just expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. But now they've added an extra E for experience. So I'm going to tell you in this video how you can provide this EEAT to your clients so they can actually rank every piece of content that they are publishing online with or without ChatGPT. So let's start with E, which is new for experience. When Google looks at a blog, when they look at a website, they're looking for whether or not this brand, this company can demonstrate enough experience in what they are publishing. So simple websites don't work anymore. Websites that lack testimonials, that lack case studies, don't rank as high anymore. So one thing you can quite easily do for your clients is help them create those testimonials, help them create those case studies. And I can tell you, ChatGPT sucks at creating case studies. Because if you try and go to ChatGPT and ask it to create a case study, it's going to create something hypothetical that's going to be completely false and wrong. Instead, a simple service that you can offer as an add-on to your clients is to go to them and say, hey, let me interview your customers, let me talk to them, and let me turn that into a case study. This is quite easily 40 to 100 hours worth of work for which you can get paid handsomely. And if your client has a few of those, any article that they publish on their blog is going to rank higher because Google clearly sees that this content, this website has the experience clearly accessible. The second E is expertise. What Google is looking for is whether or not you have the right expertise in the niche that you're in. So if you're, of course, one of the smaller up-and-coming players, Google's going to look at you and say, well, that's fine, but do they actually know well enough about a topic? So what really helps here in terms of content production is clustering. If you don't know clustering, it's basically the art of writing about a specific topic. So say if I want to create content around disc golf, what I can do is I can specialize in topic and I can talk about the plastic, the material used in creating those frisbees, those discs. So when I do that, if I write 50, 100, 200 articles just on that topic, Google's going to look at me and say, you know what, when it comes to the plastic mold of a disc golf, these guys are the experts. That's what Google is looking for. So when you start to try and game the system by ranking for low-hanging fruit keywords, one day you could write about topic A and the other day about a completely different topic B, you're not going to rank long-term because you are not establishing expertise in a specific thing. So when you start writing content on a certain topic, don't let your clients write about just anything. Instead, help them to focus on a cluster. So this is where planning will come in handy. This is where you can sit down with them and charge them a lot of money and help them plan out exactly what cluster they'll be focusing on in any given time. And if they do that, over time, they're going to rank much higher. The rankings are going to be more stable, because of which they're going to get much more traffic. The third thing you want to focus on is authoritativeness. So when Google looks at your website, your client's website, what they're looking to understand is whether or not you are authority in your market. You might have expertise, but of course, if as a smaller player, you're comparing yourself with the bigger players in the industry, you don't have the authority immediately. So what can your clients do? What can you do for them to help them build that authority? You can help them get backlinks. And I'm not just talking about backlinks for the sake of getting backlinks, but if you're able to get them backlinks from similar sources that your other competitors, the bigger competitors, are using, then they're going to rank higher over time because Google is going to see that as an authority. But look, I'm not just talking about authority as a backlinking thing. There's much more to that. But you really have to think about this. Let's say if, as an autoresponder, you're comparing yourself to, say, ActiveCampaign, then you know that ActiveCampaign is a leader in email marketing industry. So when you're comparing yourself to ActiveCampaign, what can you do to establish similar level of authoritativeness? That could be appearing on lots of podcasts. That could be getting guest posts written on other blogs. That could be getting backlinks from other websites where ActiveCampaign is also getting backlinks. So it's a long task, but that's where you also make money, because this is something you can continuously do for your clients. Look, ranking on Google is not just about dumping a ton of content and saying, look, we're done, now going to start ranking over time. You do have to build authoritativeness as well. And number 4 is trustworthiness. Google wants to know whether or not you as a creator, or again, your client as a creator, their brand, their website can be trusted. A lot of the factors about domain authority can tie in with authoritativeness, but when it comes to trustworthiness, what they want to know is, do you have good reputation? So a lot of the times we tell our customers that make sure that you're not building a business on top of a domain that's been hurt in SERPs before. Maybe someone was doing spamming and your domain got involved somehow and your domain's hurt. So you don't want that. For trustworthiness, you want to make sure that when Google looks at your domain, your reputation, that of your client, they look at it as a foolproof thing, which absolutely cannot go wrong. One of the easiest ways to fix this, and again, this is a service you can sell to your clients, is go out there and tell them like, hey, I'm going to help you get listed on places which give out awards. I'm sure you've heard of those Fortune 500 companies or Inc. 500. If you can get your client's website listed on one of those awards, that's a really good plus, because Google looks at it as a trustworthy thing. So if you can get your client on a list of these award sites where awards are being handed out every year, then Google looks at it as a signal of trustworthiness. If your client's website appears on, say, G2 or Capter or other places where people are leaving reviews, make sure reviews are good. Same way with Google reviews, make sure if you are collecting Google reviews or Facebook reviews, those reviews are good. These are all the signals that Google is paying very close attention to, and your clients are probably not. And as I said, even if they fire you, use ChatGPT to create base content, they're not going to rank over time if they're not fixing the EEAT that Google is looking for. And at the end of the day, everyone is writing content so they can get more organic traffic from Google. So if you can help your client fix all these things, you can help them get more traffic. Now, let me give you 7 practical ways in which you can use EEAT to actually improve the value of the domain, to actually make sure that the content that's published ranks higher. Number 1, tell your visitors who you are. Always have an About Us page on the website. If you don't have one, if your client doesn't have one, sell it to them, offer it to them. It's very important to have that. Number 2, sometimes once in a while, get guest posts written by other experts, not just a random website that pitches you a guest post via cold email, but actual experts in your industry. Pay them if you have to, get them to write on your website with their name, with their branding, and a link going back to their website. Number 3, make the purpose of your content clear, because if the purpose of your content is not clear, Google's not going to know what it's about, and they're not going to value it very highly. Number 4, update content regularly. I'm sure you've seen this before about posts, that say backlink tricks to follow in 2020, and you see the same one in 2021, same post in 2022, and same post in 2023. Now you might be thinking, hey, they're just gaming the system, which might be partly true, but what they are doing is they're regularly updating their blog posts, and when you do that, Google looks at it as someone who is expert and also trustworthy, because you're always updating your content to reflect everything that you've learned over time. Number 5, link to high quality sources. I'm not just talking about Wikipedia, but journals, for example, or news websites that Google puts in high domain authority. When you do that, then Google sees your content as referring to high quality content, in which case they're more likely to push it up the rankings, which means again more traffic for your clients. Number 6, consider multiple viewpoints. A website that's completely opinionated, that just focuses on one thing, doesn't really get the output, the response that you want. Instead, if your website takes, one of those posts, if your website has one of those posts where 20 people come in and chip in there with their suggestions, that's taking multiple viewpoints into account, and that's going to work really well for you. So I would advise you to, again, go out there to your clients and sell them this. Tell them that, hey, you're going to reach out to 30, 40 people in the industry and get them to give a code, and you're going to create a full article with that code. That's not only going to get them all the backlinks over time, but it's also going to get them social traffic for when these people share that post with their audience. And number 7, pay very close attention to your online reputation. It is now more important than ever. It's very easy for someone to go online and say bad things about you. If that happens, follow up, figure out what went wrong, and help that customer. Make sure you respond to them, make sure you help them, you communicate with them to get a beneficial outcome. Because once they do, they'll go back and change the review, or at least other people will talk highly about you, and your reputation will improve. So all these services mean that you can still go back to your clients, you can offer them add-on services that they didn't have before, that were not necessary before, but are necessary now if they're to survive the Google onslaught. So do all this, and I can promise you, you're never going to hate AI. You're going to love the opportunities that AI is bringing to you.